What are self-driving cars? Cars that could drive themselves have long lived in the realm of fiction. But within the next several years, this fiction will become a reality thanks to the self-driving car. Self-driving cars are automobiles that do not require human operation to navigate to a destination. They use cameras, sensors, and advanced software to interpret and respond to traffic, pedestrians, and other surroundings on the road. What are the benefits of a self-driving car? The biggest benefit of using a self-driving car is significantly fewer traffic accidents. More than 90% of all accidents are caused by some degree of human error, including distraction, impaired driving, or poor decision-making. With self-driving cars making decisions and communicating with one another, the number of accidents should plummet. Other benefits will include mobility for the elderly and disabled, who may not be physically or legally able to operate a human-driven vehicle. Reduced traffic congestion, thanks to self-driving cars communicating and coordinating with one another. More free time during commuting hours, because drivers will no longer have to operate their vehicles. How do I get one? You can't own a self-driving car yet, but there are hints of the future in many cars currently on the road. Blind spot monitors, emergency braking assistance, and several other driver assistance systems have become common in recent years, and they will only improve as the technology progresses. For instance, Tesla vehicles have many advanced driver assistance features, such as matching speed with other vehicles on the highway and a self-parking mode. However, these features still require a human driver's attention because they were designed to assist a human driver rather than drive the cars themselves. As for actual self-driving cars, they can be found on public roads if you know where to look. In 2018, Waymo started an autonomous taxi service in the suburban areas of Phoenix for a select number of customers. The ride-sharing company Uber is also conducting limited tests in cities like Pittsburgh and Dallas. Many other companies are testing their self-driving vehicles in various places across the United States. Do they have pedals and a steering wheel? Yes, most self-driving cars currently being tested have pedals, a steering wheel, and everything else you need to take control of the vehicle. Many of these vehicles are also programmed to hand over control to a human driver if it doesn't know what to do next. That means they're not fully autonomous, and you'd still have to pay attention to the road just in case a problem came up. Some companies are designing vehicles that remove the pedals and steering wheel altogether. These are fully autonomous vehicles that will never use human input, regardless of road conditions or traffic patterns. However, many experts admit that perfecting a 100% autonomous self-driving car will be challenging. Could self-driving cars change society? It's very possible. When self-driving cars become the dominant type of vehicle on the road, many things in society will likely change. However, many of those changes are still obscured by big questions, including what happens to workers who drive for a living? Taxi drivers, bus drivers, delivery drivers, and truck drivers will all be impacted by self-driving technology. Who is at fault when two self-driving cars have a traffic collision? Could the vehicles be hacked into and controlled by an outside party? What types of privacy issues will arise? With the constant communication between cars, information like your location and driving habits may be accessible to car manufacturers and other drivers. At the moment, there is no clear answer to any of these questions. It also doesn't help that there is currently little regulation for self-driving cars. Until lawmakers determine answers to some of the questions above, the presence of self-driving cars could be limited on public roads. What's the timeline for self-driving cars? Even though current testing shows a lot of promise, many experts believe it will be decades before self-driving cars are mainstream and available for purchase. On the other hand, Tesla owner Elon Musk insists that self-driving cars will be available to the public in the very near future. In the meantime, however, human-driven vehicles will continue gaining self-driving features, like navigating stoplights, intersections, and city traffic without human input. Though it will take many years, experts predict that self-driving cars will eventually become the dominant mode of transportation in the United States, and that human driving will become less common. Although we aren't exactly sure when it'll happen, there is no doubt that self-driving cars are in our future. The Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE, currently defines 6 levels of driving automation, ranging from level 0, fully manual, to level 5, fully autonomous. These levels have been adopted by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Autonomous versus automated versus self-driving. What's the difference? The SAE uses the term automated instead of autonomous. One reason is that the word autonomy has implications beyond the electromechanical. A fully autonomous car would be self-aware and capable of making its own choices. For example, you say drive me to work, but the car decides to take you to the beach instead. A fully automated car, however, would follow orders and then drive itself. The term self-driving is often used interchangeably with autonomous. However, it's a slightly different thing. A self-driving car can drive itself in some or even all situations. But a human passenger must always be present and ready to take control. Self-driving cars would fall under Level 3, conditional driving automation, or Level 4, high driving automation. They are subject to geofencing, unlike a fully autonomous Level 5 car that could go anywhere. Fully autonomous, Level 5, cars are undergoing testing in several pockets of the world, but none are yet available to the general public. We're still years away from that. The challenges range from the technological and legislative to the environmental and philosophical. Here are just some of the unknowns. LiDAR and radar. LiDAR is expensive and is still trying to strike the right balance between range and resolution. If multiple autonomous cars were to drive on the same road, would their LiDAR signals interfere with one another? And if multiple radio frequencies are available, will the frequency range be enough to support mass production of autonomous cars? Weather conditions. What happens when an autonomous car drives in heavy precipitation? If there's a layer of snow on the road, lane dividers disappear. How will the cameras and sensors track lane markings if the markings are obscured by water, oil, ice, or debris? Traffic conditions and laws. Will autonomous cars have trouble in tunnels or on bridges? How will they do in bumper-to-bumper traffic? Will autonomous cars be relegated to a specific lane? Will they be granted carpool lane access? And what about the fleet of legacy cars still sharing the roadways for the next 20 or 30 years? State versus federal regulation. The regulatory process in the US has recently shifted from federal guidance to state-by-state mandates for autonomous cars. Some states have even proposed a per-mile tax on autonomous vehicles to prevent the rise of zombie cars driving around without passengers. Lawmakers have also written bills proposing that all autonomous cars must be zero-emission vehicles and have a panic button installed. But are the laws going to be different from state to state? Will you be able to cross state lines with an autonomous car? Accident liability. Who is liable for accidents caused by an autonomous car? The manufacturer? The human passenger? The latest blueprints suggest that a fully autonomous Level 5 car will not have a dashboard or a steering wheel, so a human passenger would not even have the option to take control of the vehicle in an emergency. Artificial versus emotional intelligence. Human drivers rely on subtle cues and non-verbal communication like making eye contact with pedestrians or reading the facial expressions and body language of other drivers to make split-second judgment calls and predict behaviors. Will autonomous cars be able to replicate this connection? Will they have the same life-saving instincts as human drivers? Alright, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel for more videos.